Hi, welcome back to Bite Size Music. Today I'm going to talk about scale shapes, and specifically one approach to learning scales which actually doesn't really involve shapes. And to do this I'm going to use the example of C major. And so for instance, with C major, as in all major scales, there's a pattern or a formula that's used to create the scale. So you start on any note and you go up a tone, a semitone, a tone, a tone, a tone, a semitone, and that produces a major scale. Doesn't matter what notes you start on, that's what makes a major scale. And so as a guitar is sort of non-linear, and what I mean by that is if you move this way from the sixth string to the one string, to first string, low E to high E, you're going up for the most part in fourths, except when you go up a third. And so the patterns aren't symmetrical, they change. You have to take into account for the third between the G and B. And so it leads to sort of, well, patterns that you just end up learning by rote almost. You're not really thinking about it, you just know this is the pattern for the scale, you're going up all the way up and down. And one example of that is when people are playing scales and they perhaps don't start and finish on the root note. So to take a really simple example, C major pentatonic, people might go, if they're going to start on the root note, but if they're playing a minor pentatonic, they probably do this. Finishing on that C, which sounds major, because they're not thinking about the scale, they're thinking about the shape. And it's a really common pattern to fall into. You hear loads of noobs playing guitar and their solo will be something like, great, you just played the major scale. So what I'm going to suggest is that rather than learning a pattern, learn the formula. So as I say, in the case of major scale, it's tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and then to play it on one string. So if we take a simple example of C and start it on this C here, which is the first fret of the B string, you then play C major like this. Wow, didn't even look. Wasn't sure I was going to pull that off. Anyway, C major, one string, straight up, and you go back down. I'm going to risk this. And that gets the sound of the major scale into your head, the do, re, mi. And you can do the same thing here. And so at this point, I'm playing C major without really thinking too much about it. I've got the sound in my head and the shapes. You could think in your head C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's very helpful. But say I want to play G major. All I need to do now is start on G. There's one here on the third fret of the E string. It's too good to be last. Once you lose it properly. Anyway, so the point here is that you're getting the sound of the notes in your head and sitting and playing the chords. And what you can do after that, perhaps, is think, well, I'll do the same thing, but I'll go to two strings. So maybe you go. And again, you're not really thinking too much. And you'll start, if you start playing linearly, it gets the sounds of the scales in your ears. Your fingers get used to kind of going up and down, and so when you do learn the shapes, if you're in any particular position, you'll very quickly, say you end up here on this G, rather than just going, if you're playing a mixed Lydian, then you would go, and it's ears that are telling you what to do, not muscle memory. And I personally think that's a much better way of learning. So if you agree, have a go, see how you get along. Try playing along to songs with where you know the chords are in a certain key. You're just using one string. It's a really good exercise. By all means, bend, go wild, skip to two if you're feeling adventurous, whatever you want to do, but have fun with it. And hopefully that will be useful to you. If you like my videos, please do subscribe, comment, thumbs up, and I'll see you tomorrow for a few more minutes of guitar.